welcome to Beyond Profile. Today is January 17th, and we're back in the saddle this morning with a gap up after last week Friday's retest of some significant areas, both in the NASDAQ and more so I'll explain in the S&P why it was so significant, and explaining to everyone in the room why we were going to go higher after that retest. I think the interesting thing here about the NASDAQ is this morning you can see that we're coming right back up to these prior highs back from November, the 2400 level. We also had that as a pivot high back here from July 26th. You'll see that level, 24 a quarter, and we're hitting a high this morning already of 24 and change here. So this is going to be significant this morning from the standpoint that it is prior pivot highs. This is where we sold off before. Charts, remember, have memory. People have memory of what has happened at a prior location, and we'd also consider this as a unfair high. The only thing that's left up here for the NASDAQ would be a technical gap fill from this bar right here that I would mark off that, again, the first time in the 2400s you can expect some selling, but it doesn't mean that we need to continue on back down from these levels. That level right there, the technical gap, because you have the closing price from that day and then you have the opening price of this bar. And we have not gone into that area yet and filled that gap, which is, what is that, 24.14, 24.14. So that really will be an upside objective of maybe possibly filling that this week. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Doesn't mean it has to. I think the interesting thing this morning is because we are gapping up on some of the news out there. Right back to these prior pivot highs, which again, as we look at this as before, this was an area of unfair high territory. So I suspect that we will see some selling here, and people again taking profits on long trades, maybe even some shorts. We've been talking about the lack of volume in the marketplace, that this may be a chance for some of the institutional players who've been long for a period of time to start exiting these positions and possibly even look to take some short positions. One of the interesting things, let's switch over to the ES here. You'll see we nailed this and called it right to a T last week as to what was going to happen, and here we are now higher into 1300s this morning. By looking at the 30-minute chart, last week in the marketplace, what we were looking for was a technical level to be fulfilled to the downside. We had a market that was basically accepting value for nearly 3 days, first part of the week, and we knew that this balance area was at some point going to give way to an imbalanced state. There's your balance state. What happened on Friday was we had this run through, and this was all on the scare of the downgrades in Europe of the countries. Came back, retested that significant 1275 number, and you can see where we traded even yesterday, Martin Luther King in the Globex session, and then this morning we're gapping way up, and that was the plan. Which said that if we come through the balance area, run through all of the stops, the institutions would have a chance to get on the long side at a discount, that at that point we would go through the other side of the balance area and tag into 1300 level. And that's exactly right where we're at this morning. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to, if you didn't hold anything from last week, you're going to be in scramble mode up here, looking to play something from these levels. Now the daily chart, you can clearly see we're up over that prior pivot, the 84s. We've been balancing here. You can see the 4 days of balance. And what we've been doing here is balance, breakout, and we've got the same thing going on here. One of the immediate things that jump out at me here for the ES is obviously we've got some gaps over here in the chart. That would be a focal point on the upswing if the markets wanted to continue higher here into this. I also know from the composite standpoint, if we take a look at the yearly volume, if we move this profile all the way back, that the 1300 level was a very big area in this profile for volume. And we've been talking about that for several months now. I remember looking at the 1300 as being an upside objective in this market, and we're here this morning. So what we look for is obviously is to see if some supply comes in, some selling comes in. This week we also have at the end of the week, I believe, options expiration. That's always adds some volatility to the marketplace. But I think the interesting thing about that is that the market auctioned very consistently in the way that we would expect it would have auctioned, based on Again, the prior balance area, breaking down, tagging the area, and think about it from the psychology of the markets. You know, you may be long 2-3 days here looking for 1300s, and then all of a sudden the market has the ability to run through these areas, get your stops out, leaves a big void in this, and you know that's how we move through so aggressively, because there's not very many not much supply in the chart to get back through. It's just, you know, if you want it, you got to jump on and buy it higher up, and the market just takes off and keeps right on going. Okay? Well, enjoy your trading week, and we'll see you in the trading room. Have a good day, everyone.